Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of An Extra Slice of History with the Butterfly Princess. In today's episode, we're discussing we're into episode 4 of our little mini series within a series where we're discussing the seven wonders of the ancient world. And today we're discussing the fourth ancient wonder of the world, which is the statue of Zeus, which was located at Olympia in ancient Greece. This was a large momentous statue. It was very big. If you've ever seen any pictures of it on the internet or, programs, archaeological programs, you will realise and know about the extent to how large this was. And this statue was actually created during the years of the 430s BCE. And the architect and sculptor who designed it was a very well-known architect of the ancient Greek world, and that was the architect that was called Philogenes. Now, this big statue of Zeus was made out of a number of elements, including ivory and gold. And the statue was made out of gold plate. It was bigger. It was an even bigger statue than that of Athena, the statue of Athena, which was located in the Parthenon. Obviously, for those of you who know your Greek history, the Parthenon was built in honour of the ancient Greek goddess Athena. She was the ancient Greek goddess of war, and I will be talking about the Parthenon in the sister series that follows this series, when we talk about the new seven wonders of the world and the finalists, because unbeknownst to a lot of people, the Parthenon was actually one of the finalists that made the final list for to become one of the seven wonders of the world. So after this big statue of Zeus was created by this architect Philogenes, Phidias is actually called Phidias, sorry if it's my pronunciation. So after this huge statue of Zeus was created by Phidias, it actually attracted a lot of pilgrims to this statue. And when these pilgrims made this journey to the statue, once they arrived at it, they would this statue would then serve as a representation of what Zeus really looked like, because obviously he was the main Greek goddess of the Olympus. He was the boss god, if you will, and so he sort of towered over everyone else. And in this statue, it's really a towering figure, and pilgrims pilgrims actually travelled all over from and across the Mediterranean, sort of see this statue and worship at it. It captivated audiences of the ancient world for a total of 1,000 years. This was until it was removal. The statue was eventually removed to in the times of the Romans, and it was removed to accommodate a statue of Const of Constantinople. And if you and you can imagine, so it captivates audiences for over 1,000 years. So if you can imagine, in the ancient times, because they had the Olympic Games in the ancient world. Actually, ancient Greece is the place where the Olympic Games sort of originated. Not as we know it today, but you know, the Olympic Games were actually born out from the ancient world, and they originated from ancient Greece. So anyone who was, visiting Athens or Greece to, watch or partake in the ancient Olympic Games, they would have seen this colossal statue of the Greek god of Zeus. Phidias, who was the architect and main sculptor of the statue of Zeus, had already supervised, and obviously of the construction of the Parthenon between the years of 447 and 432 BCE, and this monument was built in the Greek capital of Athens. You can still go, even today, there are still some remains of the Parthenon today, which you can see if you go and visit the capital city of Athens. And like I mentioned before, this was built to honour the patron saint of Athena, because Athena was the patron saint of Athens, hence the name Athens, Athena. The city of Athens was named after her, to honour her. And she was the ancient Greek goddess of war. If you've ever seen any depictions of Athena, you will often see her decked out in full armour and things like that, ready to do battle. And as I've already mentioned, because I've already mentioned that Athena was one of the goddesses that I featured in my other series, Women Who Have Shaped Worldly Belief. And according to Greek myth, Athena was the daughter of Zeus, and she was born out of Zeus's head after he was suffering from this enormous headache, and he ordered one of his servants, to split his head open with a hammer, and out popped Athena, apparently fully grown and fully dressed in battle armor, ready to do battle. So Um, so when they were so here, Philly, villagers had already obviously supervised the building of the Parthenon. So when they were sort of building the temple, the statue of Zeus, they had to come up with a suitable location, and they decided that the perfect location for the statue of Zeus would actually be on the Olympia, which was located in the western Peloponnesian area of the country of Greece. This was where this whole new temple that was dedicated to Zeus was also going to be located. So it was quite fitting that a temple dedicated to Zeus and built a statue acting as a representation of Zeus would be eventually sighted there. Um, um, and every 4 years, this was when the Olympic Games were held. Uh, in the pan-Hellenistic era, I've already mentioned that when we talk um, in previous episodes, but when we talk of anything holistic, or it's always relating to the ancient Greek world, because as I've mentioned before, that in the ancient times, the Greeks didn't refer to themselves as Greeks or the country of Greece as Greece. They referred to it as Hellenistic or Hellenism and stuff like that. Um, and this this site also attracted huge numbers of pilgrims and sports fans that they obviously travelled from the different regions and ports and corners of the Mediterranean. Um, this the building of this statue and temple would add a level of prestige to the city of Olympia, and this would act as a rival destination for 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 um for for games to be held in the future, because at that time games weren't held at Olympia. They were actually held at sites including Delphi and a place near Corinth. That was before they were held at Olympia and Athens. Um, so as I've mentioned what reasons why Phidias was the perfect choice um, conduct this, this this project. And this project was no means an easy task by any means. In fact, it was actually quite challenging, as it required hundreds of craftsmen, and it would take several years for this monumental statue to be built and completed. Um, the sculpture of the sculpture was actually made in the city of Olympia, and we know this because of archaeological digs that were carried out in the 20th century CE revealed the locations of Phidias's workshop, and these um, contained many objects such as a red figure, Attic cup or wine jug inscribed in Greek, which translates to belongs to Phidias. Among the other objects that were found within the workshop, these included ivory tools, a small hammer for working gold, and molds for pieces of a large female statue. During the 5th century BCE, the sanctuary of Olympia reached its peak of prosperity. So this means that it was becoming, sort of an epicenter for riches and people traveling to the area and so forth. A 6 by 13 column temple was began. The work began on this construction in the year of 460 BC. It was finally completed in the year of 457 BCE. And it was one of the biggest in the country of Greece at the time. At the time, it measured over 20 meters, which resulted in 65 and a half feet in height. 64 by 12 times 6, 210 times 9 feet along its side, with columns measuring 10.53 meters in height and 2.25 meters, 7 feet in diameter. And at the base, it displayed magnificent sculptures that were located on the east side. A mythical penguin, a battle scene was depicted with magnificent, majestic central figures of the Greek god Apollo. And also the labours of Hercules were also represented in the sculptures of the temple. You can some of these sculptures that were used for placed in the temple of the Temple of Olympia can still survive. So they've survived for many years. And if you're interested in viewing these objects and learning more about them, you can visit them as they're kept and located in the archaeological the museum of the archaeological sites that's located in the city of Olympia. During the years of ancient Greece, in the time of ancient Greece, religion and paying homage to these many deities, because this was a time before monotheistic religion was introduced. So before monotheistic religion was introduced, a lot of pagan religion and traditions were observed and celebrated, and the people of the ancient world, sort of ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and so forth, were polytheists. Polytheists. This means they believed and worshipped in many gods, and a temple played a central role in the religion of the ancient world. The temple would be a place where people could go to honor the gods, offer sacrifices, and so forth. Even in the time of Jesus, during the time of the temple, many people would visit the temple and buy and offer animal sacrifices to the god, their monotheistic god of Yahweh. So temples and sacrifices have played a vital role in both in polytheistic religions, but they have also played a vital role in the early stages, in the early years of monotheistic religion also. So the temple, the figure of Zeus would, for example, as we're talking about Zeus, would be placed in in a central location of the temple, of the figure of the building, so that when the doors were opened, it could look out upon the sacrifices and ceremonies being performed just outside. And these sacrifices and ceremonies were held in aid to honour the god of the ancient world. Um, um, and these statues that were built of the gods were so prestigious and so um, you know awe-inspiring to look at, that they would serve as a constant link between humanity on earth and the divine gods up 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 on up on the skies of Olympus, for example. So when we talk about the statue of Zeus, it was very mighty. When it was finally completed, it measured 20. It mentioned a total of 12 meters. It was 40 feet high, and 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 the Zeus was actually seated on a throne, so he was represented in a seating position, and he was seated on a throne. Um, um, so, like I said, it was an even bigger statue than uh, Phidias' first statue of Athena. Um, Phil, the statue of Athena was made with a combination of both ivory and gold over a wooden core, with the gods in face staff rounded in brilliant gold. Um, and so forth. So I'd just like to read you sort of a quote from this is from this quote comes from a second century CE Greek traveller who actually saw the statue of Zeus on his travels, and this is what he thought of it. So this is the quote. The god sits on a throne and he is made of gold and ivory. On his head lays a garland which is a copy of olive shoots. In his right hand he carries a victory knight which like the statue is of ivory and gold. She wears a ribbon and on her head a garland in the left hand. This is describing the statue of Athena. Is a sculpture ornamented with every kind of metal. The god, and the god is ornamented with every kind of metal, and the bird sitting on the sculpture is the eagle. The sandals also of the god are of gold, who is likewise his robes. On the robes of the embroidered figure of animals and flowers of the lily. The throne is adorned with gold and white with jewels, saying nothing of ebony and ivory. Upon it are painted figures and wax images. Right, so how they made this statue was they used a number of figures. So figures were used of both Zeus's throne and stool, and these were placed at the base of a black marble, which measured in total 9.93 times 6.25 meters, and it measured 32.5 times 20.5 meters along its side. Along the base, it was decorated with the scenes of the birth of Aphrodite. Obviously, Aphrodite is a very well-known figure in Greek mythology. To the Greek, she is known as Aphrodite, and to the Roman and to the Romans, she is known as Venus. Um, and at the very bottom of the base, there is uh, some scripture Philip by Phidias' own hand, which translates as Phidias, son of Charmaine, an Athenian made me. Once the statue was built, it stood in front of a shallow pool of dilated olive oil as opposed to water, in case this this played a part in keeping the area a moist atmosphere and imprint and any crackling of the ivory pieces. And the final statue was finally completed and dedicated in the year 430 BCE. So as you can imagine, once this statue was built, it attracted many visitors from across the known world and from across different parts of the Mediterranean. Um, and this was and when people came to it as pilgrimages, to worship, they brought along many offerings to offer to Zeus in exchange for many things. These offerings included money, money, and shields, helmets, weapons, and because of this, you can actually see a lot of there is a living museum of Greek art and the culture that can still be visited today. And when the Romans sort of took over the ancient world, they introduced the religion of Christianity. They favoured that religion over the pagan religions and the belief in worshipping many gods. So it was actually because of a Roman Emperor Theodorus who declared that all cult practices, including the Olympic Games, be stopped, and the final Olympics of the ancient world were held in the year of 393 BC. And this was after a run of a total of 293 games over more than a millennium. After this, the site of the temple and the statue fell into disrepair until it was desecrated in the year of 426 CE, following a decree against pagan temples by Theodorus. It was then completely destroyed by an earthquake in the year of 522 and 551 CE. Although the temple suffered the fate, the statue of Zeus didn't suffer the same fate as the temple of Zeus with. It seems that they were both destined to never be part of each other. So the statue was renovated up several times, cracks in the ivory were repaired, and supporting even column under the Roman Emperor. The Roman Empire Caligula had tried to remove the statue and have it brought to Rome, but according to a Roman writer, the project was abandoned after the giant Zeus mysteriously emitted a roar of laughter, and the scaffolding of the workers collapsed. They then had to strip its gold parts away by the Roman Empire Constantine. The statue was finally was removed to Constantinople, modern day Turkey, in the year of 395 CE. Then the capital of it was then the capital Constantinople was then the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, where with a place it stood. It was destroyed during an earthquake or tsunami in the 5th or more likely 5th, 6th century. There is an alternative theory that has been recorded in the works of two historians, and this is the this theory is that um the statue was actually destroyed not by an earthquake but by a fire that took place in the year of 475 BCE. However, despite its final loss, the surviving it still survived. Um, there were a number of ancient descriptions by ancient writers that survived, and it has often been depicted in artworks, coins, and not survival. So, so we still have thanks of ancient art and artworks and coins that we can get a sense of even today what the even though it doesn't survive, we can still get a sense of what it was actually like and what it was like to behold this ancient statue of the ancient world. So that concludes today's episode. I hope you can join me next time where we will be discussing the fifth episode in the mini series, where we will be discussing the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. So I hope you can join me for that. Until then, have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.